Hello, I am Lisa Sabaniak, motivational speaker, NLP coach, soon to be author of my first book, Survivor to Warrior, and founder of lifelikeyoumeanit.com. Now, we're going to talk today about our beliefs and how they are limiting us from having the life that we truly deserve, and most importantly, how we can make some significant changes. Now, all of our decisions that we make every single day, in every moment of every day, are heavily influenced by both our conscious and our unconscious mind. Now, we often will limit ourselves or even sabotage ourselves because of our self-limiting beliefs. So it's time that we learned why and how to make a difference. So what I want to talk to you about today is how our brain actually filters information, because this is a huge part of why we behave the way that we do. In fact, it is the reason we behave the way that we do. So we'll start off here on this side of the diagram that's talking about an external event. So this could be anything, any bit of information that is coming into your brain from any of your five senses. So this is thousands of bits of information every single second. The problem is our conscious mind can only focus on 7 of these things at a time, plus or minus 2. So it could be anywhere from just 5 pieces of information up to 9 pieces of information, maximum. So how does your brain decide which bits it's going to actually focus on, and what in the world does it do with everything else? So that is this column here. Our brain is designed to filter all those thousands of bits of information so that we can make more sense of them. And when we filter them, we are going to delete some pieces of information that we don't think are vital. Now, that might be the entire event itself, or it may be just portions, snippets of an event. So if somebody is saying something to us, for example, we may choose to delete certain bits of their sentence or their paragraph, which they are saying, rather than the whole experience itself. We also will distort some of that information so it makes more sense with what we already know. And we will also generalize that information. Okay, and generalize, I think, is a little bit self-explanatory there, right? We might take some really big piece of information, we might kind of filter it down to something a little bit more simple that makes more sense for us. Now, how we do that is this part here. So we're going to do that based on all of our past memories of all of our experiences that we have. Now, that bit of information sits in our unconscious mind. Now, our conscious mind isn't going to physically be able to remember everything. And then our unconscious mind, part of its job is to protect us. So there's going to be some bits of information that we have chosen to not remember, but it is still there. And so we're going to make all of our decisions based on those memories, whether we choose to actually remember them in our conscious mind or not. Other decisions we've made, our belief system, that is key. That's what we're talking about today. Our values, and then this thing here called meta programs, which we'll talk about next. So meta programs are kind of like a computer program, how you can have one program that is in control of a bunch of other programs, right? In order for the other programs to run, you've got to be able to have this program in place. So in a sense, meta programs are mental processes that are going to guide, manage, or direct other mental processes. And because of that, we tend to call this the habit of thought. So we'll get into a little bit more detail with one particular example that I hope that you will be able to relate to. So although there are dozens and dozens of meta programs that we could go over, I'm going to choose to just go over one example that I think everybody would be able to relate to in one shape or form. And that is the towards versus away meta program. So this, if you look at making a goal, if you wanted to make a goal to lose weight and get fit, you're going to have one of two meta programs that are driving you to meet this goal. So you're either going to be running towards something. So your goal is to be a very specific size or fit into a specific size clothing, or to have a certain percentage of body fat or feel a certain way. So everything about your goal and everything that you do that motivates you and keeps you propelled forward in achieving that goal is always about where you're going, what it is that you want to get at the end of this journey. And they tend to be tangible things because you can see yourself working towards that. Whereas if you're coming from an away mentality, you tend to be making your goal based on what you don't want. Right? So you hear people often saying with this, well, I don't want to have to go up another dress size, or I don't want to not be able to climb the stairs without losing my breath, or I don't want to model this behavior for my children, or I don't want to feel like I am, fat or unattractive or something along those lines. It's always about what you don't want versus what you do want. And in fact, if you're coming from an away perspective, if I was to probe you over and over again, well, what is it that you do want? Oftentimes people will turn around and they'll keep repeating what they don't want. They'll get more and more specific about what it is they don't want. But when you really get down to it, you really are asking them, what is it you do want? They have a lot of difficulty narrowing it down. And oftentimes the answer is, I don't know. And so the trouble here is that if that is you, and you're coming from what you don't want, and you don't have a clear idea of what you do want, it makes it very difficult to know when you've got there, right? Because when you say, I don't want to go up another dress size, well, technically you've reached that goal if you don't go up another dress size. If the next time you go and try on a pair of trousers, if you're still the same size, you've technically reached that goal. So what propels you forward? What continues to motivate you in this particular process? So it's not that having the towards mentality is, the absolute best. There are some negatives to that as well, but you can hopefully see how two people experiencing the same thing, wanting to get fit and healthy, say, are going to go about that in different ways, and they're going to experience their success along this journey in different ways, because one is going to be able to make some goals that are very tangible. They say, yes, I'm reaching them, and it's going to keep going. Well, the other one could technically be reaching those goals, could be saying, well, yeah, I've not gone up another dress size, but they don't have the same type of reality to their particular goal, right? It involves them having to go back over and over and over again and reset the goal in order for them to keep being motivated to move forward. So I'm going to go back to this diagram to try to show how you can have two people with the exact same thing happening in that moment who are going to respond completely differently, right? Because all of these different types of meta programs, there are literally dozens of them. We just went through the one example towards way. And all of our values, all of our inherent belief systems growing up about ourselves, about the world around us and our place in it, all the decisions that we have made before, and whether they have had positive outcomes or negative outcomes, they are all going to be affecting us along with all of our different memories. Again, whether they are conscious memories that we're aware of, or whether they are lying in our unconscious mind that we're not thinking about and we don't even realize that we have them there. All of these things are going to come together to make that bit of information. So somebody that is giving us a compliment or setting the goal of losing weight, becoming healthy, getting fit, those types of things, that's the exact same scenario. It could literally be the same person standing in front of two different people at the exact same time, obviously saying the exact same thing. And those two people are going to delete, distort, and generalize the information coming into them based on all of this information here. Their meta programs in place, their values, their belief systems, decisions they've made in the past, and also their past experiences and or memories. That is going to cause them both unconsciously and consciously to interpret that information differently. So if I give you an example, if we stick with our getting healthy and fit, if these two people are standing in front of an expert and the expert is going to give them all kinds of tips and advice and all kinds of options available to them so that they realize that they don't just have to join a gym where they have to go every single day for an hour a day that really it really isn't realistic in their schedule. And rather, they have all different kinds of options for the type of activity they could do, for how long they could do it, but really opening the doors. That's exactly how one person will look at it. They will see all these different options as really the opportunity to explore and see what works best for them. And it makes them really feel good because they'll be able to choose which options are best for them. And the more options that are there really make that person feel like, I can do this, because there's lots of different things that if they don't work, there's bound to be that one that will work. And they get pumped about this. And then you've got the exact other person that is listening to the exact same thing who is going to be completely overwhelmed by all that information, right? It's not just how our brains are wired physiologically. It's not just about the chemicals in our brain biologically. It is about this, our meta programs, our values, our belief systems, all the decisions we've made before, and all of our experiences coming in to delete, distort, and generalize the external event that's happening in front of us right now, causing us to interpret that experience differently than the person next to us, and the person next to them, and next to them, and next to them. And all of that is going to result in us responding accordingly. So the person that is going to feel like those options give them opportunity is going to respond completely differently than this person who feels like those options are overwhelming, right? 100% they are going to respond differently. And so that means that our behavior, if we walk through these things, our internal representation, so how we are really interpreting this information, is going to cause a change of state. State can be things like, am I calm? Am I happy? Am I nervous, anxious, overwhelmed? Am I motivated? That's going to change our physiology. Literally, how we stand. Are we confident now in this moment? Or are we feeling weak and fragile because we have too many options? We're overwhelmed. And all of that is going to influence our behavior. So some of us are going to turn around and say, yes, let's get started. I'm going to peck these off one by one until I find the thing that works. And the other half of people are going to turn around and say, hell no, I'm not going anywhere near this. There are too many options. And they're going to wait for somebody to suggest, hey, Lisa, why don't you do this one thing? Right? That one thing might end up eliminating that sense of overwhelm so they can go back to the beginning here and end up changing their behavior. So let's look at a belief system as an example here. So we've got two separate people, one who has a very healthy, positive belief about themselves and their capabilities. They are strong. They are very aware of the fact that they are able. They know that anytime that they've been challenged in the past with something that they didn't know how to do, if they just took the time to get the help where they needed it, and they, maybe invested in some education or some courses, even just Googling online to get the information that they needed, that they were able to succeed. And so they have no doubt that even though somebody could come along and throw something new at them that they are uncomfortable with, they have no doubt that they will be able to learn how to do it and succeed. Then you've got the other person who has a self-limiting belief. They really believe that they can't, or they're not good enough, right? They're not smart enough, attractive enough, whatever it is, they're not enough. It doesn't matter where those two beliefs stemmed from. If it was, difficult childhood growing up, or certain experiences that happened in their lives, bullying, for example, it doesn't matter how they started. because interesting enough, both of those people could have ended up with very similar backgrounds. They both could have gone through child abuse. They both could have been bullied, but now they have completely different beliefs about themselves, the world, and their place in it. So it doesn't matter where the beliefs came from. It matters that the beliefs are there and how those beliefs are going to impact them. So say you have somebody come along and it's literally two people standing side by side, and the person comes up and says, "Oh my God, you two are absolutely stunning. You have it all going on today. I'm loving the outfit, loving the hair. Wow, where did you get those shoes?" Whatever, it doesn't matter. Some sort of compliment, right? It could be, "You nailed that meeting today. That was incredible. That was the best session I've ever been to." Doesn't matter. There's a compliment thrown out. Those two people, because they are different people coming forward with their different experiences, memories, decisions they've made, beliefs, everything that we've talked about, they are going to interpret that compliment differently. So you could have the one who is very strong and knows that she is capable, knows that, yeah, there's lots of things in the world that she doesn't know how to do and isn't going to be an expert at everything, but knows that if she puts her mind to it and gets the help that she needs, gets the support that's there, she is going to be able to tackle anything. Right? You take that person, gets the compliment, is more than likely going to bring through all of those delete, distort, and generalize, is going to take that information and say, "Hell yeah, I did a great job at that meeting." Right? There might be some things that she wants to go back and tweak, but she's going to accept that compliment. The person who doesn't believe that they are good enough, doesn't believe they are worthy, doesn't believe that they deserve that compliment for whatever reason, they too could be sitting there saying, "Oh, there's things that I want to tweak." But rather than it being, "Oh, there's things that I want to tweak so that for me it goes better," and they accept the compliment, instead, they actually in their minds start distorting, deleting, or generalizing that compliment, right? And for those of you who know what I'm talking about, it usually goes something like this: "Why did they mention that? Why are they complimenting me on my presentation? Are they being sarcastic?" Right? They start to get into these types of questions where you've heard the compliment, but you're trying to actually break it down to try to see what the hidden meaning is there, because you are not willing to accept that compliment right then. Right? So you both might respond the same way. You both might realize that the best and easiest thing to do is to say thank you, right? But you're going to walk away feeling different. Right? Your state is going to be different. One is going to be filled with confidence and be really proud of herself, and the other one is going to go away feeling very low, low self-esteem, no confidence at all, perhaps kicking herself in the butt and thinking of all the things that she did wrong. That is going to impact all the other interactions that both of those people have for the rest of their day, and maybe even longer. Right? All because of how their beliefs, whether self-limiting or self-encouraging, are impacting the way that they are interpreting the exact same compliment. The very simple answer here is yes. We could take these things called our meta programs, right? Whether we are programmed to run towards something or programmed to be running away from something. Another really great one is if you are programmed as an internal reference, so you know that you've done a really great job just because you feel like it went really well, or you're externally referenced, right? You need somebody else to compliment you and say, "That went really well. I really understood. I really got what it was you were saying," in order for you to feel like it was a really well done job. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of these, but these are our programs that are running in the background without us thinking anything of them, and they are influencing all of the decisions that we make, all because they are influencing the way that our brain is filtering things. So back in the 1990s, NLP training institutions that were around then were still teaching that it wasn't possible to change these meta programs. But a man named Robert Dilts ended up doing a lot more research on this and ended up discovering that indeed it is possible to change and even modify and replace meta programs. And we're going to talk about even replacing belief systems and even looking at our experiences from the past differently. It's not that you can change what happened in the past, obviously, but you can change the way that you are experiencing that experience, and thus how you are allowing that experience to interact in your present day. So, making these changes is completely possible, especially with the help of a qualified NLP practitioner. So, once you find somebody that you are comfortable with, whether it be myself or anybody else, you can do this work either in person or even online. And the first thing that they're going to want to do is to try to help you to discover what the meta program, the belief, or the experience is that you wish to change. And then what they're going to do is check out all kinds of different ways to make sure that you are actually ready to make that change. Because your conscious mind might be saying, yes, I want to get rid of this old nasty belief system. But your unconscious mind might not be ready to let it go. And because your unconscious mind, one of the major roles that it has is to protect you and always do what it thinks is right for you. If it thinks that it's not done with it, doesn't matter how much work you have with whatever type of therapy you want, it is not going to be effective. So that's the first thing that your qualified NLP practitioner will do, is to identify first the problem area that you'd like to address, but then also check and make sure that you are actually ready to do that work, to let that go, modify or replace that particular metaprogram belief or experience. And then once you've got that all figured out and you know that it's a double thumbs up as a go, then your NLP practitioner will figure out what is the best tool to use to guide you in this process. So a lot of the work that NLP is doing is all with the unconscious mind. So it's different types of activities that can be done just through a conversation, but other activities are actually guiding you through, bringing you back into past experiences or thinking about a very specific belief pattern that you have, and actually doing some work consciously with the unconscious to make those changes that you are so actively seeking. So if you're listening to this and you are resonating, you know that there are some past experiences that are really hindering you from being able to live your best life. You know that you've got some self-limiting beliefs. You might not know exactly what they are, but you know that they must be there, because despite your hard work, you're just not getting to where it is that you want to be in life, and it doesn't make sense. If this is resonating with you, then it is time for you to actually make the change. Right? Go ahead, jump on a free 30-minute discovery call, and let's have a quick chat. Let me get to know you a bit better. You can ask every question that you want, and you can discover how NLP coaching is going to change your life.